Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
And I'm MK.
and how are you on this fine Saturday, fourth recording?
It, yeah, this is our fourth episode. I am good.
Excellent.
I tonight I have an event to go to um for my school. It's like a back to school fundraiser night, and like it really is like for the parents, but like the teachers never hang out with the parents. We don't really want to be associated with the parents. And so basically the HSA was like, all the teachers get a free ticket because we desperately want the teachers to like actually come.
Right.
And so we're going. I'm going with Dan.
How
So
fun.
now I did all the awkward, all the kids attacking me about it this week, and now tonight I get all the parents attacking me about it. That's fine.
Perfect. Perfect.
Been great.
You're gonna have a great time.
Listen,
Is
I
there
get for
food?
yeah, there's food and alcohol.
Excellent. You'll be
Yeah,
fine.
I'll be fine. And last night, because Dan obviously doesn't get a free ticket anymore because he's not a teacher there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so last night he was like, "What do I owe you for the ticket for dinner tomorrow?" And I was like, "Nothing." He was like, "Stop it." I was like, "No, I'm not, stop. I paid for it. It's done. It's over." He was like, "Well, I'm not gonna just have you pay for it." I go, "Just buy me lots of raffle tickets so I can win nice things tomorrow. Then you're fine."
I love it.
He was like, "Okay, fair." It's like
Done. I love
I
that.
also didn't get paid yesterday when I was supposed to.
Oh, that's exciting.
So exciting, really.
Oh,
Um,
what does that mean? When will you be paid?
Probably 2 weeks. Like I'll get my regular paycheck next week. This was my last summer paycheck. But so
Mm,
so the pay periods for summer were 2 weeks, and my last week of camp was the first week. So I put my time sheet in for the first week, everything was fine. Second week, I didn't work, but I didn't submit a 0 hour timesheet. So they just decided not to pay us. So everyone in my camp did not get paid because we all forgot to give them our 0 hour timesheet.
excellent. That is excellent for you. I am sorry. I hope you have money soon. Um,
Thank you.
it's like somebody called me. It's Walgreens. Yes, I do
Oh,
need to get my medicine before I go on the cruise. Thank you.
thank you so much. But luckily next week is my first paycheck at the new school year's pay rate. So I get a raise next week.
Yay! That's exciting.
Not by a lot, but it's still a raise.
Yes.
So
All raises are better than no raises.
correct. So I'm okay. I'm just,
Excellent, excellent. I speaking of events, I went to Long Island last night and had a grand time. We tried out I went with my friend Dom, and I mean he lives there, so
yeah.
I went to there and he was there already.
Yeah.
Um, we went to this new brewery that we have never been to called Destination Unknown.
Very nice.
Got a nice flight, had my first Oktoberfest beer and pumpkin beer of the season.
Fantastic.
It was very lovely. I we had this. I also got a nice it was called Jabruzo, which is like the stupidest name I've ever heard. It was a
Okay.
really nice chocolatey stout.
Okay.
Loved that. We got chicken tenders and fries, and they had this buffalo parm dip that was delicious. And then to top off the night, we went to opening night of Avenue Q in Long Island.
Oh yay. At
And
your little theater that you got season ticket to? Nice.
and that's the first time I've ever seen Avenue Q. So
Isn't
changed
it
my
so
life.
good? Yeah.
So good. And people keep telling me they're like, it's right up your alley. Like
Yeah.
you will love this show. And I'm like, I'm sure I will. I'm sure it's great. I understand. I
Speaking
follow
of Speaking of beers, though, I had to look it up to remember exactly what it's called. But like Dan got this beer for me because he thought I might like it, and like I don't usually drink a lot of like super dark beers,
now.
but it's not super dark, but it's an ale, which I don't
Yeah.
usually. It is Kentucky Vanilla Barrel Cream Ale. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not as sweet as you would think. Like the vanilla flavor is strong, but it's more like a pure vanilla than like a sugary vanilla.
I
That's
don't mind
my,
it. No.
it's my new favorite beer.
Interesting. I need to try it. Um,
I had one for the Queen the other day because
oh,
he
that's
had a
nice.
Guinness and I had that because I was like, I don't drink Guinness,
Yeah.
which I know is blasphemy, but it's fine. But I don't drink Guinness. But um, I was like, but this is like a Kentucky barrel ale, which is like horses and still for the Queen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Basically the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. But since we were there for opening night, we also got to do a toast with the cast with champagne at
Oh,
the end, which was
yay!
very fun. And they did such a good job. And
Did the puppets drink with you?
no, unfortunately not. But yeah, and it just like has this little cafe, so I had like churros and coffee and wine, and it was lovely. Great experience. And
I love
I made
that.
it back at a reasonably one piece, and
Yeah,
didn't sleep a lot, but I am alive, and it was a great time. It was well worth it, and I absolutely adore Avenue Q now.
good.
So yeah,
So
other
now, so now when I start like awkwardly singing "If You Were Gay" all the time, you will actually understand it better.
absolutely
Good.
yes, um, and other things that are good for us, um, are spiritualities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Today it is. Nope, that's the one for last week. Um, if you feel like you're losing everything, remember that trees lose their leaves every year and still they stand tall and wait for better days to come.
I love that.
I also love that. So be a tree. It's okay to lose your
Right.
leaves. Trees that lose their leaves make me the happiest. So that means it's fall.
I do love trees.
Yes,
I'm gonna be a tree one day.
that's a good plan. It's a good way to support the environment.
Yeah, when I die.
Mhm. I haven't decided which path I'm taking yet. I'm split between becoming a tree or becoming research on like a body farm or something.
Mm,
Because I'm like, I
yeah.
don't like both are good. I don't know which one I like better.
I like the tree better for me because I like the idea of having a place that people can always come to. And like also like there's the whole like into the woods Cinderella crying to the tree that is her mom, kind of like wanting to be there
Right.
for my children vibe.
And that's totally fair. I think that's beautiful and it's good for, the environment,
Yeah.
planet growing. I like the research and the understanding aspect of being able to like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
solve better crimes and understand how bodies decompose better and whatnot. So don't know which one I feel more strongly about yet. But
Okay.
hopefully it's fine and I have plenty of time to figure it out.
Right, right.
So
Not looking for an answer tomorrow, hopefully.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Other things that we're never gonna have answers for, I guess. I don't know. I don't think that was a good transition.
No, but to be fair, I don't know that I'll ever understand what's happening on the show.
Fair. Yes. We are officially halfway through Bates Motel. Not only this season, but the entire show. We have made it.
Only half?
Yeah, we are season 3, episode 5, and
No,
it's
I know,
5
but like
seasons.
there's gonna be a whole nother half after
A
this.
whole nother half. Buckle up. Buckle up, Buttercup. We are in
Okay.
for a wild ride.
Boy, are we ever.
So this is season 3, episode 5, titled The Deal, which is a much better title than the last 2 episodes of either show we've had.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
we are working our way back up to a good episode title.
Yeah.
Um, it aired April 6th, 2015, and was rated 8.4 out of 10, which is fine. It is better than last week.
Yeah.
Um, and number one song, movie, and book have not changed.
Of course not.
Uptown Funk, Furious 7, and Girl on the Train.
Okay.
On this day, I have picked just holidays from around the
Okay.
world.
Okay.
because that's what's happened.
Yeah.
It was Tartan Day, which is a Scottish holiday.
Love that.
I'm very familiar with because it was while I had COVID and I had to go to work still. I
Ooh.
was in my like 6 days of COVID, but COVID knocked me down. Like,
Right, like you weren't in your contagious phase anymore, but you were like dying
but I
personally.
was not good at being alive still. Like at
Right.
this point, I had not been awake for longer than 3 hours at a time for 6 days. And I had to work 5 hours, which is longer than that.
Yeah, it
Um,
sure is.
so I have feelings about Tartan Day. And for you, it is Chakri Day in Thailand.
I know that.
Is that how you say it?
Chakri, yeah.
Okay.
So the Chakri dynasty is the current ruling family of Thailand. They're on the 10th king of that dynasty. Yeah. So it is celebrating the royal family.
Good to know. Good to know. I thought you'd know more about it. So,
Mhm.
glad.
I
So
was
we
like
are,
April 6th. That's a day
yes,
that is important. And I was like, yes.
Chakri and
Chakri
Tartan
Day.
Day. All of the above.
All
Um,
of the above.
so, oh, there. Oh, so hold on to your horses, MK,
Okay, I'm holding.
because we have a new director for this episode,
What?
which is what we have been doing for the past couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But this week's director is Nestor Carbonell, aka the one and only Alex Romero. This is what I was doing notes on when I was texting you. I was like, I'm about to blow your mind. And we know him. We love him. We've talked about him. I thought I would include a few of his directorial credits. He has
Hmm.
directed New Amsterdam,
Okay.
The Good Doctor,
Okay.
Rise, and Attention Shopper, which is a movie I have never heard of, but has a lot of well-known people in it.
Okay.
But I've seen all the other shows. I've seen like one episode of New Amsterdam. I've seen a few of Good Doctor. That's the show with Freddie Highmore. And I've seen Rise. It was the show that the guy who plays Ted Mosby came back and did the music teacher show. He was like the
Oh,
theater director.
yes. There was a
Yeah,
bunch. I only know about that because a bunch of the actors in it were Broadway people. So like,
right.
um,
Yeah, so those were his credits for directing, which is a interesting compilation. Um, but yeah,
I
so
will-
I know. We also have one new writer, Scott
okay.
Kassar. Um, he is known for writing on The Machinist, Haunting of Hill House, The Crazies, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So he does have some horror under his belt.
Yeah.
Although I forgot to write down which Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it might be the new one. So I
Which
don't know
was,
if this was after Bates.
okay.
I know Haunting of Hill House was after Bates.
Yes.
I don't remember when the Crazies came out. I want to say that may have been a little before. And I don't know the Machinist, so
Okay.
um, yeah. And then we have our special guest, or AKA new character, is Tamawa Eden, who plays Marcus Young, and he is known for What Happened to Monday, um, the 2015 Cinderella movie, which I still haven't seen.
Either.
Um, he played Mr. Brock on an episode of Doctor Who. It looks like it may have been one of the more recent seasons. Um, I have not seen him on there, I don't think.
Okay.
And then he played Sir Elwyn on Merlin. Is that how you say it?
Yes, it would be Ellen. It would be on Merlin. Merlin. I don't think I haven't finished watching Merlin all the way through.
I haven't watched Merlin yet, so I didn't know. But I mean, I know Sir Elwyn name or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah. I also have some fun facts for you about him.
Okay.
He read classics, the classics at Christ College, Cambridge, and he won and because like he was doing an English degree, and he won the dissertation prize in his final year for a thesis on Homer's Odyssey. So you two would get along well.
Very much so.
And he was born in Nigeria. So these are
Okay.
my
I could
notes.
tell from his name, to be
Mhm.
fair, that his name is
Yeah.
oh, the episode he was on. Oh, I know. Okay. The episode of Doctor Who he was on was the Christmas special in 2016, which was with Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. It's called Return of Doctor Mysterio. He plays
Oh, I
the
think I've seen
dad of the little boy who like tries to do the superhero stuff.
Mhm, mhm. That was a long time ago.
Mm.
So I do not fully recall that, but I believe you. And I'm sure I think I've seen all of the Peter Capaldi stuff. Um,
Oh, he was also in 3 episodes of A Discovery of Witches.
yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I'm currently reading the book.
Okay.
Um, I will be watching it soon once I finish the book. So
And he was in the Royal Shakespeare Company, the Globe production of Romeo and Juliet as Romeo in 2010.
nice. I love that for him.
Me too.
Yeah, so he is indeed a good actor.
Yeah, he must be
He
because
is,
I fucking hate him in the
I
show.
was about to say he is not someone I like, but I like him as an
I like
actor.
him as a person, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know
I'm
how he is as a
sure.
person.
Yeah. Um, so this episode, we are coming off of Norman running into the woods away from Dylan to tell Norma about Caleb. So we start with Dylan passed out in his truck outside of a bar.
I was like, what are you doing, baby?
Yeah, this is not the first time we found him passed out in his truck,
Right.
but honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more because he has been through quite a bit.
Right.
So the woman comes out and she's like, "Are you okay to drive? Because you should probably leave now." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." And so
Okay.
he leaves. And we jump over to Norma, who is crying in her car and getting incessantly honked at. She's having a bad day.
What the? I was like, holy shit, what is happening?
And for some reason, this guy wants to run her off the road. And he does. But not only does he run her off the road, he turns around and he checks on her and he's like, "How are you? Are you okay?" And she's like, "You just ran me off the road. Well, you're a crazy person." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, BT Dub, call Bob Paris. He wants to chat." She's
Yeah.
like, "What?" And he's like, "No, no, he needs to talk to you now."
So I had 2 thoughts about this interaction here. My first was how the shit did the wire farm fence of a cow pen do more damage to the front of her car than ramming a freeway sign intentionally? Because
Freeway sign was really light.
the bumper was hanging from the freeway sign, but
Right.
it showed her looking at her car as if this was the worst thing that ever happened to her. And I was like, it was a wire fence.
She's just not having a great day.
My second note just said, "Oh fuck off, Bob."
Yes. Well, I put Norma's always getting tangled up in something new. Because not only we've gone through the guy who used to own the house, then we had Nick Ford and the Zach, and now she's
Oh
trying
yeah.
to Bob Paris. Like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
every day something new. And then we go to the credits. And we open back to Alex investigating the girl in the water's death. And he's talking to a guy who lives out near the lake or does work out there or something. He's like fishing, he's being
Yeah.
all hungry. And he's like, "Hey, what's happening? Do you know anything?" He's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, well, I need to know if you do." And he's like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "All right." So he goes to leave, and the guy's like, um, "Although I do know Clay DuPont was bird watching, but he didn't have any bird watching materials." And it was like, was it dark or something? It was like
He
at a
said something. He
weekend
said something about
day.
how he was there and it was a weird time of day and he didn't have a camera. And I was like,
Yeah, no binoculars, no camera. I think it was raining. Like it was,
it was something weird.
yeah. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell anyone this?" He was like, "Nobody asked." He's like, "I've been asking you for like 10 minutes." He didn't say that. But
Right.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, he just stood here and asked you for 10 minutes, and you were like, "No, I
Right.
know."
I know
Like,
nothing.
but fine, whatever. So now we know Clay DuPont was quote unquote bird watching
Right.
when she was at least taken to the lake, if not murdered. Um, so we go back to the Bates home, and Norma wakes up to Emma saying that Norma asked her to watch him. And it's like, okay, Norma, you are putting a lot of responsibility on Emma, but fine.
Here's the thing. I don't know if Norma did.
I think Norma did, and I will explain why.
Oh, no. I do because of what Norma said happened at the house that morning.
Yes.
In
Yes.
in that moment, when later but in that moment, I was like, something is getting
Which is
real off about
fair.
Emma. Something is starting to tweak me about Emma's
Yeah.
interactions with Norman.
Totally fair. Totally fair. And so Norman's like, okay, cool, like not put off at all. And I'm like, you have no questions? If I wake up to someone in my room that I'm not expecting there, especially someone that doesn't live there. I've got questions. Why are you watching me? Why did you need to keep up with me? But fine. Norman's just like, cool, good to see ya. Um, and then he tells her about Caleb staying at Dylan's. And he's like, I told my mom. And it's like, okay, this makes sense why she was crying in the car.
Yeah.
So then Dylan comes in. And he's like at the house, and as he's getting, and then so he's like there and they're talking about whatever. And as he's getting ready to leave the house, he gets a call that Norma's in the ER.
Yeah. And I was like, how did Dylan become her emergency contact?
He's her everything contact. He's the only one she calls when she needs anything anymore.
True.
And also I was like, why is she in the ER? She wasn't like super injured. But
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, why did the hospital call?
yeah, like she's not that. I was like, did something else happen that we just didn't see? No,
Right.
it didn't. But he so he goes to the ER and he grabs Norma and she's like, time to go. And I'm like, why are we like, she's fine. Like
She's a crazy
someone needs to
person.
pick her up because her car got injured, but
Mhm.
she's physically okay.
Yeah.
And but she's like, we gotta go. She was like, I found Norman wandering around the kitchen mumbling this morning, which
And
is
I was
why,
like, oh, so Norman didn't say anything.
right. Well, he still doesn't know at this point because he
No,
doesn't.
well, no, but he can tell by her reaction
Yeah.
to him that she's not angry at him, which he assumed she would be. I was
Yeah.
like, so Norman said, well, my note says, so Norman said nothing, and then question mark. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like,
Yeah, I think Dylan's not 100% sure either. I think
yeah.
like, okay, he didn't say anything because she's acting cool, but also like all this weird stuff's happening that she's dealing with. Maybe that's like the last of her problems right now.
Right.
And so it makes sense now why Emma has to sit with him. Although, why are you putting Emma in this position when you know he like blacks out and kills people? Like, fine, whatever.
She's an idiot.
Right. And so Dylan's like, okay, cool. And then they start arguing about the flash drive again. And he's like, stop. We need to give it to Romero. Everything's happening because she tells him she was run off the road.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, absolutely not. So, I mean, it's the same argument they've had like 73 times. But something that is new is Alex walks into the diner and we finally see Maurice and Bob Paris chatting together. Marcus. I definitely wrote Maurice. I don't know why. We so we know they've been working together because that's how he's gonna get the sheriff's whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
position. But this is the first time we like see them talking. And
When he barges in, I don't remember if it was Marcus or Bob who said it, but they were like, "Oh, Alex, you always have to come in with so much drama." And my
Yeah.
note just says, "Alex is always drama, but I fucking live for it."
but also like he deserves to come in with like
Right.
it's dramatic. A lot of dramatic things are happening
Yeah.
that are not his fault that he has to deal with. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So he's telling Bob, Bob's like, we're still looking for something. And he's like, if you just tell me what it is. And he's like, yep, it's a flash drive. I was like, okay, cat's out of the bag. Just straight up tell him what we're looking for.
Yep. My notes for this interaction, I don't know where the quotes go, but I said thing about him always being drama, and then I said, "Oh, fuck off, Marcus. Everyone in this town is garbage. What the actual fuck is on that flash drive?" That was my thought process for this conversation.
Yes, that is very fair and correct. And Bob and Alex are still talking, and it's like he's like, I had to bring Marcus out here, and he's like, it's meant to be, and he's like, he tells him, he's like, we're gonna talk like we were uh like when we were boys. He's like, as someone who grew up together, who played ball together, he's like, I gotta let you know, this ain't it anymore. Like, we have to move on. And then he's telling her, he's like, the flash drive, you have to get it. He was like, you have to get it from Norma Bates. And he just looks at him, he says, you know her, right? And gives a smirk. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, good, good, excellent. Norma, you have dragged Alex down. Perfect. So we go back to the motel, and in case you didn't catch it,
Oh, I did. I did because I got so freaked out. I have giant notes that say, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
because we learn the password to the Wi-Fi is a mother and all
In all caps. Ooh, ooh.
which, like, if I'm going to a motel and they're like, it's mother in all caps, I'm like, absolutely not. I will
No.
see peace.
I
There's
will
gotta be
find.
somewhere else
I
to
will pay
stay.
$150 more a night to stay in a hotel that does not have a Wi-Fi password of mother.
Yes, yes. Nothing good, nothing good. And so Dylan is trying to talk to Norman again. He's like, you didn't tell her. He's like, you told me you told her, and now she's saying like she's acting like she doesn't know. And he's like yelling, and Norman's like, no, no, I told her. I told her this morning. And he's like, one of you is crazy. And I was like, ¿Por qué no las dos?
I said, Dylan, they're both absolutely insane. I don't.
Absolutely. And at this point, he seems to have fully forgiven Caleb for all of his misgivings, which is a choice. And I understand he is his father. And as Emma quotes in an episode, we sometimes whitewash the sins of our parents to deal with what we
Was
need.
that in this episode?
I don't think so, but I don't talk about it in the episode it's in because it didn't bring a lot to me, but it feels like it applies here.
Oh, I was like, that's next episode, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think it gives away any spoilers.
Oh, yeah, no, not really.
So then we go to Caleb, who's looking at an old picture of him and Norma while he's laying in bed, curled up in the fetal position. And I was like, I am still getting creepy vibes from him. Like,
Something just sad.
it is sad.
So sad.
It's very sad. I do agree, very sad. But it's also not great. And that was a brief moment before we go back to Norma, who is at the bus stop because her car is obviously in the shop, and James pulls up. And he's like, you look hungry. And I'm like,
I wrote, "You look hungry" is not a pickup line.
it is not. Absolutely. Also, like, probably most people are hungry a lot of the time. Good move, but like, no. And she's just like, what's
I am.
happening? Yeah, she's like, haven't eaten since breakfast. And then he's like, I'm going right by where you live. Where do you
Where do you-
live? At first I was like, does he already know where she lives? And then he didn't. And I was like, okay, well, that at least he doesn't know where she lives already, but that's
Right.
still creepy.
But here's the thing. I also was like, I don't know if I love this guy or hate this guy because, like, I would say some dumb shit like that if I was like, but also, like, and if they're not giving off creep vibes, it's funny. But if they're giving
Right.
off creep vibes, it's not. And like, I can't tell because Norma's so fucked up. Like, if someone interacting with her is fucked up, or like, I don't know.
I think yes.
I do too. I do
Creep
too.
vibes.
To be
But I
fair.
can't clarify exactly.
Right. I can't put my finger on what I think about this guy.
Right.
He's like, remember when we first, like in season 1, every time somebody would be introduced and we'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We trusted no one. I've been much more black and white about people since then. I have no clue what to do with this guy.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. But yeah, so she's like, sure, why not? Because why not?
Right.
We go back to Caleb again, and he is aggressively chopping down trees. And I was like, why is he doing this so aggressively? I know he's trying to get out his like frustrations, whatever, fine. Like that's actually a very probably healthy coping.
That's the healthiest way to handle it, really.
So get all your aggression out on chopping trees, which is a normal activity and not on
Yeah.
people.
We're not
Um,
learning dates around here.
and the neighbor wanders up to talk to Caleb, and he is just so funny and dry. I feel like he's like, I came to ask for a cup of sugar, but you told me that was off limits. I was like, that is the what a way to start a conversation.
Right. And then he's like, do you need a hug?
Yeah, like he's being like super awkward.
I was
And I'm
like, I was like, that
like,
this is my favorite. This man attempting to help Caleb when he actually hates him is my favorite thing I've ever experienced.
right.
He's
It's
like,
like,
he's like, do you want to talk about it? Do you want a hug? I don't want to hug you, but like, I want to ask you if you want a hug.
right, like I don't really understand this man's purpose yet,
Nope.
but like I'm okay with that. Like
Mhm.
I'm fine with him being here, even with no purpose.
Yeah, just
Like
to show up and like say some dumb shit.
say some
Cool.
weird stuff. And then he's like, the only thing that makes life better is boar jerky. And I was like, what? Who are you?
He's like, have you ever had boar jerky? What about rabbit? There's a lot of rabbits around here.
I'm like, why is the weirdest conversation that's ever happened that doesn't creep me out? Like, I'm not at all put off by him.
No, not even a little bit.
No. But it's also the weirdest conversation to have. Like,
Well, and then he's like, here's what I actually want from you.
yeah,
And Caleb's like, I know. And he's like, yeah, but you're not gonna make any money. You can't live high on the hog with a medical marijuana farm. I was like, do Caleb and Dylan look to you like people who would like to live high on the hog?
right, exactly. But like also, do you live high on the hog? What is happening?
You're walking around with a
Same-
neck. You're walking around with a necklace of rabbit pelts, eating boar jerky, and like swinging guns in people's faces. What money are you making?
Right. And like Caleb is looking to run away, it seems. So like he came at the right time to offer him his job to drive the product. But like
Which also kind of creeps me out because how did you know? How did you know it would be the right time?
I don't know that he did. I don't know that he knew. I think he
I
was just
don't.
like, I need this. You're clearly not really welcome here in this town, so may as well send you off somewhere else.
Right.
That was kind of more of his approach.
Okay.
Sorry, my grub cup order got delayed.
Oh
It'll be another half
no.
hour, so it's
Well,
fine.
we'll be done with the podcast then.
Absolutely, probably. So then we go to the diner.
Oh wait, I had one other note about this scene.
Yes.
He said that his old delivery driver ran away
Hmm.
to Puerto Rico. And he goes, who flees to Puerto Rico? And I said, that was a very fair question
Yes, that
because
is.
Puerto Rico is probably not the ideal place to flee
Right, right.
because you either have like the poorer parts of Puerto Rico that are unfortunately like under cared for by the governments and stuff, or you have the touristy parts of Puerto Rico. And in neither one of those situations are you living comfortably and off the radar.
No, absolutely not. No. So yeah, no, that was a very smart driver,
I
but
was like,
tis what it is, I guess. Um, yeah. So James takes Norma to the diner, and I feel like if you're trying to give people therapy, you shouldn't tell them your whole life story because he is telling her literally his entire like
Mhm,
trauma
mhm,
background. And I'm like,
mhm.
this is not how you handle therapy.
No,
I am not a therapist, but my best friend is a therapist, and I know for a fact she does not give her life story every time she gets a new client.
no, 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 no.
That is
But the
not
other thing though is if you're trying to date someone, you do.
yes. But if you're trying to date someone, you cannot have them as your therapy client.
Right,
Because
but here's
next
I
thing,
don't think he wanted her as a client. I think she was like, "Oh, but I definitely need a therapist."
but that's how he approached it. And I think it was a tool
Oh
to get
yeah.
her.
Oh no, he's a sketchy.
Yeah.
But I will say, she was like, "It's so weird how open you are." And I was like, "Actually, that's it's not really as weird as you think it is, ma'am. It's
Right.
I don't open is not a bad thing because most people aren't covering up crimes every day."
Exactly. And he is very straightforward. She says, "Are you attracted to me?" And he's like, "Yep, I am." I was like, "That's not great, but okay. I mean, it's good that you didn't lie, I guess."
And
But
she was like, "Can you still be my therapist?" Feeling attracted to me. And
yeah,
he was like, I think that you need a therapist more than you need a date right now.
which is 1,000% correct. That is nothing
And
true
and
has ever
here's the
said.
thing. If this man was like, you know what, I am attracted to you, but also I care very deeply about the mental health of the people around me because that's why I went into psychology. And I think that you're a broken person who needs help. And I would rather be your therapist than date you. And I will put my attraction to you aside and move on and see you purely professionally. I would be like, hell yeah, that is a
Fine.
well-adjusted, healthy adult.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
That is not
that
the
also means you can't continue to talk to her at restaurants or coffee shops. You need to see her in a therapist's office and a therapist's office only
correct. Yeah,
because you cannot blur those lines.
exactly. And then we go back to Norma at home on the phone. I think she was calling Dylan. I missed if it said who she was calling, but it sounded like she was calling Dylan about the flash drive.
Probably.
So I assume that too. And then she just starts making dinner. Like everything's normal. And Norman comes down and he's like, "Hey, something something we talked this morning." Or he said,
No,
"You're in a different dress." And she said, or he said, "Have you been in that all day?" She's like, "Yeah, I've worn this all day." And he's like, "But no, you were in a different dress." He said, "You were in the dress I like." And she was like,
he was like, yeah, that blue and white one that I like. And she was like, no, I wasn't.
and this is the first moment he realizes he didn't talk to her. And when he thought he did. So his absolutely choice of way to respond to that is to go digging through her closet and pull out the dress
Here's
that
the
he liked.
thing. I think in that moment, he didn't believe her. I don't think that he knew that he didn't talk to her. I think that he thought she was lying to him. So he went to her closet to
Mhm.
see if the dress was actually not in there. Because if it was dirty and it wasn't hanging up, then she was lying.
Right.
But then he found it. And that's the moment that he was like, no, that I, that's,
Hmm.
hmm, hmm.
So naturally, he creepily caresses her dress and
And
then
then
hides it
fucking
out.
takes it.
Yeah, and hides it in the couch, which
No, under his bed, under his
is it under
mattress.
his bed? Oh,
It was under,
I thought it was under a couch cushion.
no, no, it was under his mattress.
Well, of course, where he hides everything that he shouldn't have. So
Correct.
that makes sense. And then we go back to the wheat farm, and Gunner is playing video games and way too conveniently finds the flash drive and the timer.
Well, because the power went out on the I didn't think it was super too convenient because what happened was the power went out on the plants and they're on a timer, so he went to adjust the timer. And when Dylan put the flash drive in the timer last episode, I said, don't you think putting a metal thing in an electric thing like that is
Mm,
gonna fuck with it? I had that thought and then pushed it aside because all the drama happened of Norman busting in. So like I didn't then continue
I
to
guess
think about
that's
it.
true.
So my immediate reaction was that's gonna mess up the timer because it's metal.
Right.
So they put it in there. The timer gets screwy. Gunner goes to fix the timer and it slips right off, and you can see there's something in it that shouldn't be there. So like, was it a little convenient? Yes, but it's one of those things where like if you think about it, it does actually make sense that
It
that's
does
what it
actually.
would have happened.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Um, and so he calls Dylan because he's hacked into it.
I said, of course, Gunner's little pothead brain figured it
I
out.
know. Of course he did. Of course that's his talent in life. And Dylan's and I was like, good that he tells Dylan because you can't just keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
And Dylan's like, "How did you do this?" He's like, "I just did it. Like it just happened." And so Dylan goes straight to Norma. And we find out that it is a financial ledger for some $15 million that's been shuffled around incorrectly and illegally. And he's telling Norma about it. And she still doesn't want to go to Romero. And this scene of Norma was so excellent because her eyes are so sunken in. She's starting to look like that sunken in version of herself in
Mhm.
the movie.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a really well shot scene.
I know, and I also just I love it. It seems that Dylan is the only person in this goddamn show with a brain.
Truly. And Gunner, but he's high all the time, so it doesn't work too
It
well.
doesn't
But
really
he
count.
apparently has a brain.
Yeah.
Um, so then we go to Romero, who pulls over in the dark because he sees Clay's cars on the side of the road. And he's like, get out of the car. He's like, step out of the car. We have to talk. And unfortunately, when he goes up to the
Clay
car,
is so dead.
Clay has already been murdered, which is real inconvenient since that's the only lead he has in Lindsay's death.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes home and has a drink. And I said, I don't know how Alex doesn't just constantly stay drunk. Like one drink to have that take the edge off at night is not enough for this town. I would need to constantly be drunk.
Correct.
As someone who doesn't really drink when they're upset, like wouldn't I would need to be drunk all the time.
I figured out I don't drink when I'm upset. I shop when I'm upset,
Ooh,
but like
expensive.
not for, yeah, it is. It is. I realized I was telling Brittany the other day, I was like, I spend my feelings.
Mhm.
Because like I don't even buy things for myself necessarily, and or like things that aren't necessary. Like I'll buy things for my classroom when I'm super overwhelmed, or I'll buy presents for other people. But like when I'm having feelings, I spend my feelings. I don't make enough money to spend my feelings.
No, yeah. I
But I also don't think drinking them would be better.
nope, that's probably true too. That's probably true too. Um, and thankfully at this point, thankfully or not, who knows at this point, Norma shows up finally to tell him about the flash drive. And
And I wrote a quote that she said. She asked if he trusted, she could trust him, and he was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Well, sometimes you're Alex, and sometimes you're a cop."
yeah, so he's like, I guess so. And she's like, great, I have the flash drive. And he's like, come inside now. We cannot talk about this outside.
Correct.
And he like panics, which is the correct response. And he's like, where is it? I need to take it. I need to have it. She's like, no, no, it's not here. She's like, don't think I have it. It's not here. It's safe. She's like, basically, we need to blackmail Bob Paris. He's like, I don't think that's a great idea. And she's just like, no, no, this is how it's gonna go. She's like, my son was put in a box. She was like, I have been raped, I have been tortured, I have been through a lot. She's like, what else can they do? She's like, kill me? I'm like, yeah, death probably isn't that bad compared to everything
I
else.
said, "Don't worry, they won't kill you. Your fucking cuckoo ass son will, though."
Exactly. But she doesn't know that yet.
I mean, I feel like she's got to have a feeling that
Truly though,
one
right?
day he's gonna snap
Gonna
and
snap.
she's gonna be the one he kills. Like, how does she not feel that?
I don't know. But I did say death would probably be welcome at this point. And then she has a breakdown. She just shuts down. And like Alex, sweet Alex, grabs her and holds onto her and then unfortunately agrees to take her to Bob Paris.
This man's heart is so in the right place,
It is.
and he's falling for her crazy. Unfortunately,
I thought he was
like
about to kiss her.
I thought he was gonna kiss her too. I was like, this man, he's falling for her crazy so hard, and I hate it. And I just want to protect my sweet baby Romero, but like his heart is made of gold.
Truly though. And right on the heels of that, we go straight into our visit with Bob Paris.
Okay. At the beginning of their visit, when she's nervously sitting and twitching, and he just grabs her ankle, I laughed so hard because that's exactly what I would have done. When people are like bouncy legged when they're nervous, it is my biggest pet peeve. My
I am the bouncy leg. That is me.
Oh, I would rather get up and pace around the room in circles than be near someone who's bouncing their leg.
That's fair. That's fair.
Don't.
Yeah, so Bob is like hella calm and collected. He's just like, welcome. how are you today? What are we talking about? And then everyone's just like sitting there awkwardly, except Bob. He's just like super chill. And then
Yeah.
finally she's like, okay, here's the thing. I have the flash drive and I know what's on it. She's like, it's hidden somewhere. She was like, so I want to make a deal. Hence the name of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, let's hear you out. She's like, it's about this bypass. I was like, okay, maybe this will be fine. She's like, I want to make sure there's an exit with a sign going to the hotel because I don't want to be left out in the dust when this bypass starts. And he's just like his face is like, that sounds reasonable, no problem. And then she's like, I want the billboards and a pool. And I'm like, Norma, calm down.
That's why I said, ma'am, how many things are you gonna ask for?
Right. And she just keeps going. I'm like, please stop. And then he's like, okay, so sounds reasonable. We take care of this. He's like, and when do I get the flash drive back? And she's like, oh, never. And I was like, no, Norma. What?
Yeah.
Now that you've told him you're never giving it back, he's going to just kill you. That's the like next step.
Her negotiation skills need serious work.
Yeah. And but she's like, I have someone on call that nobody will ever know. It's Dylan. Of course they're gonna figure it out. Like, who do you think they're gonna go to first? Her kids.
Yeah.
And
What's she gonna do? Give it to Gunner?
right. And so she's making this deal and he's just like, you win, Norma. He's like, you've done it. And I was like, just made a deal with the devil.
That was clearly too easy.
Too easy, yes. Correct.
Zero trust.
Yeah. So now we're in the basement, which is a place that we like to be. Dylan comes down and tells Norman that he's gonna tell Norma everything. He's like, I know you didn't tell her. I know where we're at. He's like, but I think it's time. I think it's time. And Norman, out of freaking nowhere, he's just like, I'll be there for you. He's like, he was like, you shouldn't have to do this alone. I'm a man now. I'll say, I'm like, who are you? You are
I literally
insane.
wrote, what kind of weird ass backwards psychology like shit is this?
I know. I was like, I think this is regular Norman, who we don't get anymore. Like,
Oh,
regular
no.
Norman is.
I didn't think it was regular Norman. I thought it was a complete ploy.
See, I wasn't sure because I was like, in the beginning, this is something that Norman probably would have tried to do. He wouldn't have panicked. He wouldn't have freaked out. He wouldn't have had all these outbursts. He would have been a little more calm and been like, okay, let's talk it through. But we've had so much of crazy Norman lately that I was like, is this just like a piece of him coming back out to be like semi-reasonable?
Right.
And it was very weird. And he's like, I wanted to destroy you for getting too close to Norma, and I know that's crazy. And I'm like, oh, well, good. We're very self-aware now. Excellent.
Right.
And it's just one of those moments where he's like saying the right things, and like it's very weird for him. And then, and probably the worst decision ever in their lives, they are sitting at a table waiting for Norma. So when she comes back, she's still light and fluffy, and she's like, what's going on? No one can be at the hospital because we're all here. It's like, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
This is all of you. And Dylan's like, Norma, I think you should talk to Caleb. And Norma's face just like changes.
Oh yeah.
And Norman's like, it's his father, like all this happened, but just like have a conversation. And the look that Norma gave Norman, I've never seen her give that look to anyone, especially Norman.
Right.
And the silent stare, I was like, that was so well done. It gave me chills.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredibly done. And she just stands up and goes upstairs and starts packing her clothes, doesn't say a word. And she grabs her gun out from under her bed, throws it in the bag, and Dylan and Norman are both like, stop, what's going on? Stop, let's talk. And she just looks at him and she's like, leave me the hell alone, and like runs off. And so Dylan's holding Norman back, and Norman's like, mother, you can't leave, blah, blah, blah. And Dylan's like, stop it, you gotta let her go. And she just turns around and she goes, your brother will look after you, and leaves. And that's the end of the episode. That's
Yeah.
it.
I said, ma'am, where are you gonna go?
She doesn't know. She probably doesn't care.
No.
Yeah. My only trivia I have is that this was Nestor Carbonell's first time directing ever.
Oh, it's a good episode.
It's a good one, yeah. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So that is our episode 5.
Oh,
Oh, do you want to punch in the face?
God, there's so many. But Norma.
Fair. I picked Norman. So,
Yeah, fair.
yeah. A deadly duo. Who's your MVP?
One day I'll pick someone else, but not today.
Today is not the day.
It is Alex.
I am not shocked at all. I picked the neighbor. He just brought me so much joy.
Yeah, he was really good in this episode, like for no
Everyone
reason.
sucked. I have to stop picking Dylan every week, so I picked the neighbor.
And Dylan wasn't really great this episode. I
He
mean,
wasn't.
like he had a brain, he was smart,
Right.
but like he wasn't extraordinary this episode.
I think the only other person I might have picked over like the neighbor Romero was like Gunner.
Yeah.
You know, nobody else really did anything worth
No.
knowing. So yeah, that's that. Do you have any final thoughts on this episode?
My final thoughts on this episode are that I don't know how Norma Bates made it to adulthood.
No,
But,
truly.
she cannot even function with other adults at all.
She has completely lost her mind. And
Yeah.
like, I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah, no, it's quite literally the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I guess that's that. I do have to go eat lunch before I go to work. So if you have thoughts, feelings, literally anything about the show, it's such a like wow ride.
Cluster.
Yeah. We're open to it. No
Yeah.
spoilers, even though I think I know them all, but it's fine. You can email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can follow me at CECloud13.
You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for our next Sci-Fi Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.